Hello everyone, and welcome once again to the self-expressive and experimental Comic Vault. Today we're going to take a look at some more Powerpuff Girls. This is DC Powerpuff Girls number 5, once again from the year 2000 run. And this is written, believe it or not, by Craig McCracken himself, the creator of the Powerpuff Girls, and boy can you tell. And it is drawn by Paul Rudish and Cindy Morrow. Don't you just hate it when you're reading a comic book? It happens more with older books, I think, with newsprint than anything. But you hate it when you're reading an old comic book and all of a sudden the cover comes off. It's just absolutely, I hate that, especially because wouldn't you know it, with the book that I think I like the most so far out of these, Murphy's Law, would have the book come out of Staples while I'm in the middle of reading it. Ugh, I hate that. Anyway, this story is really simple. It's more of a short, it's more like of a cartoon short than it is even like a full cartoon or a full Powerpuff Girls story. It would be, this is one of those that if you tried to fit it in the normal time for a Powerpuff Girls episode, you know how you usually would have 2 within 22 minutes, so they'd be like 10 or 11 minutes apiece, you'd be really stretching it. This would take all of 3-4 minutes to tell. But what I like about it over some of the other issues that I've talked about where I thought that we were kind of stretching it too thin and we could have done more with it, is that Craig McCracken does exactly what I think he ought to with this concept. I think it's really funny, and it had me smiling ear to ear all the way through. I love how cute it is. I love how super colorful it is. I love how, as with a lot of his stories, all 3 of the Powerpuff Girls personalities are very much present, and we're seeing the contrast of all of them and putting them all together, creating kind of one big character, as I'm always talking about with these characters. And so what we have here is this very simple situation where the Powerpuff Girls are in their kindergarten room, and their teacher, Miss Keene, tells them to make a story. And I feel like I must have had this exact assignment when I was in kindergarten or 1st grade, to make a story out of what they did over the weekend, but only with crayons. There are a lot of Powerpuff Girls episodes that start in a similar way like this, where the Powerpuff Girls have to make believe something, and again, you see the big difference in their personalities in how each of them expresses themselves. And this one, this time, I'm reminded of like what was the episode, Best Rainy Day Ever. I'm reminded of that, but this time it's all about art and storytelling, and super appropriate to be done in a comic book. This is not one that I feel like should be a TV episode. Some of these that I've really liked, I've looked at and said, I wish that they had adapted that into an episode. This one, not so much. I think this could have been done, certainly, in an episode, because you could kind of, in a tongue-in-cheek way, talk about drawn art inside of a cartoon in a similar way that we're doing it here with comic book art, but it's one of those comics that is kind of about the medium, and this is not that there's like any commentary about the medium, although there's a satirical thing at the end that's the big punchline, which I'll reveal a little bit later, that's more about art in general, not really comics. But it is a comic that's about comic art, or that not about comic art, but that's about art, and it does some really neat things with its panel layouts and stuff that makes a really good case for, yeah, this should have been a comic book over an episode of that show. And once again, I don't see how you could have done it in that format. It would have been really short. So the Powerpuff Girls are each trying to show Miss Keene with their crayons what they did over the weekend, and they're not allowed to write any words. And there's this great moment where Bubbles tries to write the city of Townsville, or I'm sorry, Blossom, the city of Townsville. Oh wait, no, I'm not allowed to write it to write words. So she crosses that out, and then she basically does your familiar formulaic setup for a Powerpuff Girls episode, episode where it's like, here's the happy status quo, everybody's fine, and then monster! And so Blossom, because she's all systematic and about order over chaos, wants to tell this as a full-blown story, and again, in that Powerpuff Girls story formula, because in her mind, because of the world she lives in, that's how you tell stories, and I think that's kind of funny. And she's like, because all Buttercup wants to do is just draw the big monster, and then they beat it at the end. Well, she's much more efficient, and she doesn't have any patience. So for her, that's doing the assignment. We were told to say what we did over the weekend. There was a monster, the end, and we beat it, the end. And Bubbles is all about the emotion and having like a representation of how she felt about things. That's always her character. So she just draws flowers because she fought the monster in a park, and she was very happy that day and likes flowers, and so that's what she wants to draw. And all three of them are right, and that's what I think is kind of fun about it, is that it kind of shows these three different aspects to potentially, again, one person's personality. I always really like that. But what is most fun about it is the art, is getting to see so many of these comic panels done in childlike artwork. And I wonder if, it doesn't say here, but I wonder, we have two artists here, and I wonder if one of the artists isn't a little kid drawing in crayons, because I've seen that done in comics before, and it's kind of hard. I mean, impressive when it can be done well, but it's kind of hard for an adult to mimic a child's drawing and make it look authentic. It's a lot more fun to get, and also it's just more fun, to get a kid to a 5 or 6 year old at kindergarten age to draw what's intended here, and again, it just would make it more authentic. So you get a little kid and you say, draw a dinosaur or draw a flower, and the pacing is just like it would be for a TV show. I love, or for an episode of the TV show, I love how ultra dramatic some of these panels are with this really mundane, innocuous situation. You got this great page. My favorite page in this whole thing is the three of them just drawing furiously to get their version out, and it's like it's the end of the world. I love that page. I can't believe that this is, I mean, I'm only 5 issues in, but this is absolutely my favorite issue so far, and kind of nothing happens in it as far as a story goes, but then that's what's fun about it too, because it's about storytelling and what is a story, and it's more of kind of a sketch than it is a story. And again, it works in this case because it knows that, but it's about three different people who have a different interpretation of what a story ought to be, for what for them is important. And so it's this kind of non-story about storytelling, and I like that a lot. I also like how McCracken is communicating, well, and I have to give the artist credit too, but how they're communicating things that you would, that would be, really, really obvious how you would do it in a TV show. So you've got, like, we're really using this artistic medium to its advantage, making this a comic book, not just in the way the pictures are done, but also in dialogue balloons. So you got all these overlapping dialogue balloons whenever the girls are rambling and talking over each other, and you can't read every word on the balloon, but when you glance at it and you see interesting phrases, you can't help but want to try to read everything that's there. And just like you would get if you were trying to filter out the different voices and listen to it in the TV show, you'll pick up on little pieces that are hilarious if you're really paying attention, but it would be impossible to get everything. And I would love to see some of these dialogue balloons where the other ones were moved off of them so I could see what exactly they're saying. But my favorite example of this is, because it would be really easy to just glance over that and not read it and be like, okay, they're talking over each other, who cares? But right at the beginning, when the girls are asked what they did over the weekend, Blossom is talking about how they watched an episode of Cow and Chicken. Just absolutely cracked me up, and it would be it cracked McCracken to be up. And it would be very easy to just read over that and not even notice that it was there. I love this issue. It's super fun, and is surprisingly doing so much really cool kind of, I hate to use the word sophisticated for this, but kind of using this medium really to its fullest advantage. Oh, and I meant to mention earlier the that big punchline at the end, which is that the girls get all their ideas drawn at the same time. They're overlapping each other just like the dialogue balloons are, and they give it to Miss Keene, and Miss Keene says, "Oh, you visited the Museum of Modern Art." That's brilliant. I need not even comment. So anyway, I really loved this one, and I'm glad that I got to show you a lot of the art from this if you've not read this, because I think it's just absolutely fantastic. And I really hope that Craig McCracken did some more of these. It's so cool that they got him to write an issue of the comic series based on his show, and obviously really authentic Powerpuff Girls. I put this up against a lot of the best episodes of that show, even though it's kind of a non-story. Really cool. Anyway, everybody, thanks as always for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again shortly on the Comic Vault for some more Powerpuff Girls. In the meantime, happy reading.